Now, certainly Stevie Wright and George Young of the Easy Beats were visionaries, but they were not alone. Slowly but inexorably, a rock-pop songwriting culture emerged in this country as the brightest and the best, convinced there was no reason at all why Australians could not be turning out songs as good as those in the top half of the world, set out to do just that. There was Tony Barber of Sydney's Aztecs. There was Terry Britton of Adelaide's Twilights. There was Jerry Humphreys and other members of Melbourne's Loved Ones. There was Johnny Young from Perth, and there was also, originally from Perth, Brian Cadd, a gifted and determined musician and composer who, from the very moment he turned his hand to songwriting, was able to craft deft, confident and appealing pieces that touched a nerve as soon as they were heard. Now, the first Cadd song I heard, the first anyone heard, because it was the first one he wrote, was Woman You're Breaking Me in May 1967 by his outfit, The Group, fronted by the big-voiced Ronnie Charles. Now, inventive, robust, melodic and as catchy as all get out, it went straight into the Melbourne top 5, but it also, at a time when this didn't always happen, made the Sydney top 10. Now, Brian wrote that first hit with fellow member Richard Wright, but soon settled into a partnership with bassist Max Ross, with whom he wrote the top 20 group follow-up, Seems More Important to Me. The pair also came up with the 1968 Ronnie Burns hit, When I Was 6 Years Old. They were hot and getting hotter. Now, as an original band with an internal source of quality songs, the group, winners of the all-important Hoadley's National Battle of the Sounds, could confidently go out to the world and did so, spending almost all of 1968 in the UK. Nightlife, a Brian and Max song, was a top 10 hit in Germany, and Paul Jones, not long departed from Manfred Mann, cut a version of When I Was 6 Years Old. At home, the Master's Apprentices had followed the smash Living in a Child's Dream with the pair's Elevator Driver, which Brian had first sketched out as a song called Silver People. Back in Australia in 1969, Brian was on a creative roll. Group guitarist Don Moody moved into the co-writing chair, and the new team gave the group another memorable hit with Such a Lovely Way. As well, the Zoot cut their It's About Time. But pop was changing dramatically, and Brian with it. By the end of the year, the group was gone, and he and Don had joined forces with Glenn Shorrock in a textured, rootsy outfit that owed more than a little to the sound of the band, a sound they were lapping up eagerly. Axiom was cited as Australia's first supergroup, and acceptance was immediate, with Arkansas Grass, an anti-war song so subtle that some missed the point entirely, going straight into the top 10. It was a much-liked song, but adored would be a better word to describe its top 5 follow-up in 1970. A simple and heartfelt song penned to mark the birth of a friend's daughter. A little ray of sunshine struck a nerve in this country and has, over the past 37 years, become a part of its fabric, used endlessly at christenings and family gatherings. It's a radio staple and was even honoured by a postage stamp in 1998. But perhaps because of the affection afforded that classic song, Axiom's greatest significance has been obscured. It seems to be accepted wisdom that a true, unashamed Australian idiom in rock songwriting began with Greg McCainch's Tales of Baldwin and Carlton for Skyhooks in 1974, or with Australian Crawl's Beachside Tales from the Morning Peninsula in 1979. But they came, respectively, 5 years and 10 years after the extraordinary Fool's Gold album by Axiom, a groundbreaking work which told us about Ford's Bridge, Mansfield Hotel, and the once-a-month country race day. When years later we were hearing songs like Solid Rock and Bow River, I, for one, was aware of where that movement had started. No corks on hats and flea-bitten roos and emus, no jingoistic levers being pulled, just honest and artistic songs reflecting where and who we are. Now, Axiom survived 2 albums and 3 hits. They beat their heads against international walls to little avail and fell apart in less than 2 years. But from that experience, Brian Cadd developed an affinity with Australian ears. When he and Don put out a duet single, Show Me the Way, at the end of 1971, it became a top 10 hit. He contributed songs to the popular Morning of the Earth surfing film soundtrack, and, tired of touring, he headed toward the studio, becoming an in-demand producer. Brian signed to Ron Tudor's independent bootleg label as a solo artist in 1972 and began issuing striking solo LPs, becoming a mainstream superstar with a very credible album artist edge. The Brian Cadd album reached number 3 nationally. Parabram was number 6. Moonshine was number 11. They were brimming with beautifully realised songs, some of which now have a timeless quality. Ginger Man, Let's Go, Silver City Birthday Celebration Day, Every Mother's Son, Josie McGinty, Keep On Rocking, Fairweather Friend among them. It seemed that music was just flowing out of the man. He scored 2 Alvin Purple films, knocked out television themes and ads, and in 1974 took out the Most Outstanding Composition Award at the Tokyo World Popular Song Festival with Don't You Know It's Magic, a smash hit in Australia for John Farnham. Wayne Newton covered it internationally. Robin Jolly also had a top 5 hit in this country with Brian's bit of bright pop fluff, Marshall's Portable Music Machine. Now, having reached the natural peak of popularity in Australia, Brian, like so many before him, had nowhere to go but outwards, and in 1976 took the bold step of relocating to Los Angeles, where he became a charter member of the Gumleaf Mafia, with the likes of Billy Thorpe, John Farrar, Steve Kipner, Max Merritt and Russell Morris, whose career he had helped advance on a number of occasions. Australians seem to think that if they don't see your name on the Billboard Hot 100, then you're a flop, he once said. But they never seem to look at the composing credits of records. Well, had they turned over the Pointer Sisters' 1979 global hit Fire, they would have seen that its flip, Love Is Like a Rolling Stone, was penned by Brian, as were tracks cut by Joe Cocker, Charlie Daniels, Ringo Starr, Glenn Campbell, Dobie Gray, Bonnie Tyler, Yvonne Elliman, Cilla Black, Gene Pitney, Johnny Halliday, Little River Band and the Flying Burrito Brothers, of which he was a member for 3 years. Indeed, indeed. Brian's 3 American albums, White on White, Yesterday Dreams and No Stone Unturned, became veritable song catalogues for singers looking for quality works to render. He turned out some very active copyrights. Crazy Lady of the Silver Spoon, I Still Can't Believe It's True, Some Folk Do, One Step From Your Arms, Angry Words. And there were more film soundtracks, home movies, Fatal Vision, Vampires at Death Beach, I never ever did see that, and Return of the Living Dead. That one escaped me as well. By the 90s, Brian was home, writing and recording the Blazing Salads album with the other half of the ultimate Oz rock buddy movie, Glenn Shorrock. Absolutely indefatigable, Brian built a state-of-the-art recording studio on the Gold Coast, established labels, developed, signed and produced acts, taught songwriting, became a lecturer and public speaker, chairman of the Australian Music Industry Advisory Council and president of the Australian Music Foundation, and he kept on writing and performing with his warm, gruffly familiar voice, always finding a receptive audience. On the 2002 Long Way to the Top concert tour, he was left in no doubt as to the affection in which he and his keynote song, A Little Ray of Sunshine, are held. You know, in Japan, they title people like Brian Cadd National Living Treasures. I think we should introduce the same honour system here.